Black Sheep Rising: How Outsiders Are Rewriting the Rules of Success. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to begin by acknowledging the remarkable woman whose insights have fundamentally shifted how I understand resilience, entrepreneurship, and the power of embracing one's unique position in the world. Marguerita Hunter isn't just a champion for Black women entrepreneurs. She's a visionary who has created ripples of transformation across industries, communities, and generations. Her work has helped thousands of women reclaim their power, rewrite their stories, and rebuild economies. In a world obsessed with conformity, Margarita teaches us that our differences aren't just valuable, they're revolutionary. We've all heard the conventional wisdom about success: work hard, follow the rules, fit in, conform. These messages permeate our culture, our workplaces, our families. But what if everything we've been taught about success is fundamentally flawed? What if the very qualities that make us feel like outsiders, that make us feel like the black sheep, are actually our greatest strengths? This is the counterintuitive truth I want to explore with you today. For generations, we've operated under the assumption that being labeled the black sheep is something to overcome, to hide, to fix. We believe that standing out is dangerous, that being different is a liability. But the data tells a different story, a surprising story, a story that challenges everything we think we know about success and belonging. In 2024, nearly half of all new businesses were started by women. And at the forefront of this entrepreneurial revolution, Black women. Despite facing systemic barriers, despite often being labeled as outsiders in both family and business settings, Black women are driving an unprecedented surge in entrepreneurship. Let that sink in for a moment. The very people who have been most marginalized, most underestimated, most frequently cast as the black sheep are now leading one of the most significant economic transformations of our time. This isn't just interesting, it's revolutionary. It completely upends our understanding of what drives innovation and leadership. Consider Catherine Finney, an epidemiologist who transformed herself into a groundbreaking entrepreneur. When Catherine looked at the venture capital landscape, she didn't just see numbers, she saw a system that had consistently excluded people who looked like her. In 2020, Black women received less than 0.35% of all venture capital funding, less than one half of 1%. Most people would look at those numbers and see an insurmountable barrier. Catherine saw an opportunity to create change. She founded Genius Guild specifically to address these funding gaps. But she didn't just rely on passion or rhetoric. She wielded data like a weapon, meticulously documenting disparities that others had ignored. She built platforms that connected overlooked founders with resources they desperately needed. She created spaces where being different wasn't just accepted, it was celebrated. The results? She helped over 2,500 Black women secure more than $100 million in funding. She established herself as a national advocate for equity. She inspired policy conversations around venture capital diversity. She shifted perceptions about what's possible when marginalized voices lead from experience. But Catherine's journey didn't start there. It began with a blog called The Budget Fashionista in 2003, a platform she later sold after achieving major success. Then came Digital Undivided, an organization dedicated to supporting overlooked talent. With each venture, Catherine refined her understanding of how to create scalable models for impact driven investment. What's remarkable about Catherine's story isn't just her success, it's how she used her outsider perspective, her experience of being underestimated and overlooked, as fuel for transformation. She didn't succeed despite being different, she succeeded because of it. And Catherine isn't alone. The data from 2024 shows that AAPI and Black owned ventures are more likely to be led by female founders than male ones. These entrepreneurs are choosing to create their own paths after gaining skills and experience elsewhere, especially millennials and Gen Z. And they're focusing on industries like healthcare and social assistance where they can directly serve their communities. This has led to record high rates of business creation among younger generations and growing economic influence within local communities. The increased educational attainment and labor force participation among millennial and Gen Z Black women has set the foundation for these gains. They're shifting industry demographics toward greater gender and racial balance at the founder level. What we're seeing is the collective power that emerges when those historically sidelined take agency over their careers and businesses. It's a clear demonstration of how breaking away from limiting narratives leads to measurable progress across sectors. But the story gets even more compelling. In April 2025, Black women lost 106,000 jobs, the largest loss among any U.S. demographic group. This could have been devastating. It could have reinforced all the old narratives about marginalization and victimhood. But that's not what happened. Instead, Black women responded not only with resilience, but with increased just now entrepreneurial activity. Many channel these setbacks into launching new ventures or doubling down on existing businesses, a pivot supported by peer networks and community resources highlighted across social media and reporting. Entrepreneurship became both an economic lifeline and an empowerment vehicle during uncertain times. Historic underemployment and unemployment trends made self determination through business ownership especially compelling in the post pandemic and recession years. This helped offset job market volatility while expanding representation within key service sectors. What we're witnessing is adaptability and resourcefulness central to modern narratives about overcoming familial and professional marginalization through enterprise building rather than despairing retreat. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not suggesting that systemic barriers aren't real, they are. I'm not suggesting that discrimination and bias don't exist, they do. And I'm certainly not suggesting that being marginalized is somehow a privilege. What I am suggesting is that the very experience of being the black sheep, of standing outside the mainstream, can become a unique strength when paired with resilience and community. This is the first key insight from my conversation with Marguerita Hunter. Black women's entrepreneurial growth is not just a trend, but a movement. It's driven by education, workforce experience, and community focus, and it's reshaping entire industries. The second insight is equally powerful. Overcoming feelings of isolation or being the black sheep can become a unique strength. Many successful entrepreneurs have used their outsider status as motivation to build supportive networks and create opportunities for themselves and others. And the third insight addresses persistent challenge. Access to funding remains an obstacle, but strategic use of data can break down barriers. This proves that intentional advocacy combined with evidence based approaches yields real change for underrepresented founders. These insights challenge our fundamental assumptions about success and belonging. They suggest that being different, being the black sheep, isn't something to overcome, it's something to embrace. Think about it. When you're on the outside looking in, you see things that insiders can't. You notice patterns, problems, and opportunities that others miss. You're not constrained by the way things have always been done. You're free to imagine how things could be done differently, better. This outsider perspective is the secret ingredient behind some of the most transformative innovations in history. It's what allows entrepreneurs to identify unmet needs, to challenge conventional wisdom, to create solutions that insiders would never consider. But there's more to it than just perspective. Being the black sheep also builds resilience. When you've been underestimated, when you've had to work twice as hard for half the recognition, you develop a kind of inner strength that can't be taught. You learn to believe in yourself even when others don't. You learn to persist in the face of rejection. You learn to turn setbacks into comebacks. And perhaps most importantly, being the black sheep often leads to community. When you don't automatically belong, you have to intentionally create belonging. You have to seek out others who share your experiences, your values, your vision. And in doing so, you build networks of support that are often stronger and more purposeful than those that form by default. This is the counterintuitive truth at the heart of my talk today. The very qualities that make us feel like outsiders can become our greatest strengths. The experiences that make us feel different can become our most valuable assets. The labels that others use to diminish us can become the foundation of our most significant contributions. But embracing your black sheep status isn't easy. It requires a fundamental shift in how you see yourself and your place in the world. So I challenge you today, look at what makes you different. Look at the ways you've been misunderstood, underestimated, or pushed to the margins. And instead of hiding these qualities, amplify them. Instead of conforming, create. Instead of fitting in, stand out. The world doesn't need more people who fit in, it needs more people who stand out. It doesn't need more people who follow the rules, it needs more people who rewrite them. Take that trait that makes you feel like an outsider and transform it into your competitive edge. Take that experience that made you feel excluded and use it to create a more inclusive alternative. Take that perspective that others dismissed and build something revolutionary around it. Because this is what I've learned from Marguerita Hunter and from the thousands of entrepreneurs who are transforming our economy. Your difference isn't your weakness, it's your superpower. Your outsider status isn't your limitation, it's your launch pad. Your black sheep identity isn't your burden, it's your breakthrough waiting to happen. So today, I invite you to rise. Rise as the black sheep, rise as the outsider, rise as the one who sees differently, thinks differently, leads differently. The future belongs not to those who fit in, but to those who stand out. Not to those who follow paths, but to those who forge them. The revolution has already begun. The question is, will you join it? Thank you.